Hey yo, what's the deal? In this video, we gonna talk about who is Coldhands and where is Benjen Stark. Alright? You already know. Let's go. Teflon TV. Teflon TV. What up, my people? You know who it is. It's the Don. Tony Teflon. House Teflon. We pull the string. It's the Don. Tony Teflon. House Teflon. We pull the string. You know what it is. You know what it is. So, we talking about this, and the reason why we talking about this is because some information has come out recently that, shows that Coldhands is not Benjen Stark. I had said from the beginning that Coldhands was not Benjen Stark. There are factors there that in the book that people could have caught on to have told you that he was not Benjen Stark, and I'll share the most important one with you in a little bit. But if you have not seen the paper, it's a piece of paper to the editor or whatever, from the editor to George Martin, and you can see how he puts no or whatever. If you haven't seen that paper, go on my man Red Team Reviews page, my man Carmine. He's got a video on it. He shows the paper. You can go up on there and check it out and look at that real quick. All right? So that brings us to the question itself, since now we know for fact, this has been confirmed by George, that Benjen Stark is not Coldhands. So who is Coldhands? So I guess I'm going to have to try to explain this to you real quick, who I believe Coldhands is. And in all honesty, there's not a lot to go on who Coldhands is. There's not a lot. It's hard to really tell. And thinking that you can just actually have a definite answer from what was put out there in the books, I don't believe. But it does draw a couple of conclusions. But I will say this about it. The thing you have to remember is when Bran is talking to the children of the forest, right? And he's talking, and these are really only clues you get about Coldhands, right? Number one, he's wearing the clothes of the Black Brothers, right? So we know he's from the Night's Watch. And he has chainmail on underneath his stuff. So you figure if he has some type of chainmail, it's not from too long ago. But don't really, because you figure like what, not the Andals or whatever came across, they brought the chainmail with them instead of the bronze people who brought the bronze weapons. But let's not say like that. As I was saying, when he's speaking to the children of the forest, Bran, and he's speaking about him specifically, Coldhands, all right? They say to him, and this is what they say. I don't have it right in front of me because I'm just winging this right now, as I always do mostly. But they say to him, they say, they killed him a long time ago. Now, when they say that line, they say they. They meaning the whites, right? The people that have rows of dead people. So that's what they were talking about prior to Bran having that conversation, were the whites. So by them saying they killed him a long time ago, they're saying that the whites killed Coldhands a long time ago. So if the whites have not been around since the last time the White Walker invasion was, and that is supposedly back when Azor Ahai and all them, and you got it, or a little bit after that, you got to figure he's from back then. He is someone from back then. Now, the second clue you get, and that's what should have been the big clue to let everyone know that it wasn't Brandon Stark. That should have been it right there. But if you didn't catch that, I'll say it real quick again. They said that they killed him a long time ago, meaning the whites. If the whites haven't been around since the long night, then obviously he can't be Benjen Stark, because Benjen Stark wasn't around back then. So now you got to ask yourself, if he was back then, he fought back then, who could he be? Now, when he speaks to Bran, he gives you the double entendre, and Bran says, who are you? And he goes, I'm your monster, Brandon Stark. Now, is he saying, I'm your monster, I'm Brandon Stark? Or is he calling Bran Brandon Stark? Now, Bran has been referred to as Brandon Stark in the books, so there's really no way to separate. There's nothing you can do. There's no way. The way it is written, that it's impossible for you to determine which one of those are true. So he is either, if he is someone, he is a Brandon Stark that was alive during the long night back then. Is that Brandon the Builder? I doubt it, because he wasn't a Night's Watchman unless he got put on a Night's Watch later on. Is it, there's so many brands back then. So he's either a Brandon Stark from back then, reanimated, and that's it. Now, me personally, my opinion of who Coldhands is, I always thought he was just in a Blood Raven, because Blood Raven can't leave the cave. I always thought it was just Blood Raven taking control of the body. Now, it could be the body of Brandon Stark or someone like that. But I think it was just him taking control of the body of a Night's Watchman who died all the way back then. And he was controlling him the whole time. That's what I've always thought. That's what I'm going to stick with, and I'm going to go with that. But that's the only two things. So that brings you to the question. It brings us to the question. Who is Benjen Stark, right? So when I think about Benjen Stark, you have to go back to what led to these events and everything that happened because of it. All right. So we know that in the Game of Thrones, and I'm going to read this from the Game of Thrones wiki right real quick, because I'm not writing this down. It's real simple. All right. Now, in the Game of Thrones, and this is the only book he's really in, so this is all we know about him. Benjen wrote a letter to Eddard at Winterfell, updating his brother on the strength of the Night's Watch and the threat of Mance Rayder. Now, when King Robert visits Winterfell, the Starks give a feast in his honor. Benjen is present. He talks with Jon and Jon asks him about the Night's Watch. We know all that, right? So later, Lord Commander Jorah Mormont sends Benjen with a force of Rangers, Wyman Royce, and they don't return after ranging. Benjen does not return either. And then makes people speculate. So what I say is this when I look at that situation, right? So at this particular time, Benjen's concerned about the wildlings. They're not thinking about the White Walkers. They're realizing that the wildlings are amassing an army. So that's what his concern's about. So he goes out after that. Now he disappears. The guy gets killed. Wyman, and we don't know, he's gone, and this guy's gone. What does that lead to after? That's the question you have to ask yourself. What happens right after that? And right after that, when Benjen gets taken or disappears, that leads Jorah Mormont to go on a ranging mission. Now, whether it was Jorah Mormont, Benjen, who wanted Jorah Mormont to go on this ranging so he could see something, or it was manipulated by Mance Rayder to make Jorah Mormont leave Castle Black. And where else did he leave? He left the Shadow Tower, which the Shadow Tower is the spot where Mance Rayder did serve before he defected to the wildlings. And that left the Shadow Tower, most of the guys unguarded, and that's what happened. And then that goes to the whole battle of the Bone Bridge and all that shit, right? So what I have to say about this is like this. You have to ask yourself, what happens after? You know what I mean? That's exactly what happened. Benjen disappears and Jorah Mormont goes off ranging, right? The biggest ranging expedition the White Watch has ever done. So was that manipulated by Mance? Hey, we're going to get this guy and take him captive. That's going to make them leave? Could be. Could be. Or if that was the case, does he have him? I don't think Mance and them have him. I do think Benjen's alive. And I'm going to tell you where I think he is right now. All right? Now, it is known, and it is said, quotes about Benjen Stark, that there is not a man on the wall that knows the haunted forest better than Benjen Stark. And that was said by an unnamed man of the Night's Watch. So this man knows the haunted forest very well, right? And it just so happens that, this is where Coldhands and I think really run into Brandon before he goes and goes and kills the people from the Night's Watch, is by the haunted forest, right? And we know the haunted forest has the ironwood, and it has werewoods, and it has sentinels, and it has oak trees, right? But what I think that people don't see when you talk about that place is that so all right, let's read a little bit about it so that way I can break it down to you. All right, the Fist of the First Man is an isolated hill found by the Milkwater near the park. All right, and this is what I got to say. Now, the haunted forest, it's a vast forest, and it's beyond the wall. We know that. and it is inhabited by the free folk, right? And it's bound west by the Forest Fangs, right? And east by the Shivering Sea, and then the Bay of Seals is right there, right? Now, north of the haunted forest, right above it, is the unmapped lands of always winter. So, if the haunted forest is the way to the lands of always winter, Benjen Stark knows the haunted forest better than anyone. I think he could have escaped Mance Rayder, went out there into the haunted forest, and either was, and somehow, I don't know how, if he was taken or whatever, but I believe Benjen Stark is in the lands of always winter. That if he's alive. Now, I don't know if he's alive. Just like I said, it could have been a plan by Mance. Caught Benjen and killed him and got rid of him. And then after they got rid of him, forced them to do their ranging mission. Could have been planned from. That's possible. I'm not sure. That's not explained. But if I have to guess, and this is all this is a guess by me, since he knows the haunted forest so well, it's more likely to me that he escaped through the haunted forest, and he knows that well that he's in the lands all winter. Now remember, the Starks are kings of winter. That is what their heritage is. They are the kings of winter. And the Starks also worship the evil demon tree egg. And that's the bottom line. Always remember that. So they are the kings of winter. The lands of always winter is right beyond the haunted forest, which Benjen Stark knows like no other person for some reason. It's possible if he's the king of winter, he has king's blood in him. All right, if they're considered that, he does have king's blood in him. Maybe he's there with the White Walkers, cool, chilling with him. He's down with them somehow, or maybe they got him for some other sinister reason. But if you have to ask me, and I guess that's why you're watching this video, I'm gonna say Benjen Stark is in the lands of always winter right now. All right. Now, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all your comments. And if you wanted me to do anything or you got a question, please drop it like it's motherfucker hot. All right. Till next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy. Tony Teflon, Tony Teflon, Tony Teflon, Tony Teflon, Teflon 316. Peace. And I'm out. Stay sexy.